Welcome to the channel. Today, we're taking a closer look at the US 1 dime, a small coin with big history and value. From the classic Mercury dime to the modern Roosevelt dime, each version tells its own story. While many are common, certain rare dates, mint marks, and errors have turned some dimes into coins worth thousands of dollars. Join us as we explore the history, design, and collectible value of the 1 dime. First up, the 1971 dime with the D mint mark is one of those coins that few people would expect to carry an extraordinary value, especially when found in rusty or badly worn condition. Yet history and rarity sometimes create surprising results in the world of coin collecting. While most dimes from the Denver Mint in 1970 were produced in the millions and spent decades passing from hand to hand in everyday transactions, a very small number developed rare characteristics that make them some of the most desirable pieces a collector could hope to find. Today, certain examples of this coin, even when damaged or corroded, have been valued at over $560,000. The very idea that a rusty and bad condition dime could hold that kind of market value shows the unusual power of scarcity combined with historical significance. The 1970 dime was struck during a period of important changes in American coinage. The design itself was still the Roosevelt dime, first introduced in 1946 to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt following his death in 1945. The dime has long been associated with the March of Dimes campaign against polio, and the choice of Roosevelt was meant to connect the coin directly to that cause. By 1970, the design had been in use for almost 25 years, but the Denver Mint continued to produce it in large numbers. More than 300 million Roosevelt dimes were struck at Denver that year, which would normally make any single coin quite common. But certain error strikes and unique preservation quirks have created a few extremely rare examples, and those are the ones collectors are willing to pay enormous sums for. The Denver Mint was known for high-volume production, and with such volume comes the chance of striking errors. Some 1970 dimes showed doubled dies, off-center strikes, or unusual planchet flaws. A handful were even struck on silver plankets left over from the pre-1965 era, a remarkable accident considering the transition to clad coinage had been completed years earlier. Any such coin immediately stands out, and when authentication confirms the error, the value climbs sharply. Collectors love coins that tell a story of minting history, and an error dime from 1970 tells a story of both old technology and the chaotic realities of mass production. Even when a coin is rusty, corroded, or bent, if it represents a genuine mint error of extreme rarity, collectors will compete to own it. This is one of the strange truths of numismatics. Condition normally plays a huge role in value, but when the rarity is so profound that only a handful of examples exist, collectors often overlook surface problems. The rusty 1970 D dime that achieved a price of $560,000 is a perfect example of this phenomenon. It was not attractive to the eye, yet its error was so unique that wealthy collectors bid against each other until the price rose to staggering levels. Mintage figures help put this in perspective. While the official count for the Denver Mint in 1970 exceeded 300 million, estimates suggest that fewer than a dozen of the rare error types survive today. That means the chance of finding one is almost non-existent, which only adds to the mystique every collector dreams of pulling. Such a coin from a forgotten jar of change or an old box of pocket pieces saved for decades. The fantasy of finding something worth $500,000 in the most ordinary of places is what drives so much interest in these rare dimes. The design of the coin itself remains simple yet iconic. On the obverse side is the profile of Franklin D. Roosevelt facing left, with the word liberty along the rim and the motto "In God We Trust" beneath his chin. The date appears to the right, with the small d mint mark indicating the Denver Mint. The reverse features a torch flanked by an olive branch and an oak branch, symbolizing liberty, peace, and strength. The inscriptions "United States of America" e pluribus unum, and 1 dime complete the design. Collectors admire how this familiar look has endured for so long, but when paired with the drama of an error, it takes on an entirely new life. The market for these coins has only grown stronger as wealthy collectors continue to compete for the finest and rarest examples. Auction houses report intense bidding whenever a rare 1970 dime appears, and values have increased steadily over the years. The rusty-era coin that sold for more than $560,000 proves that rarity outweighs condition. In the highest levels of collecting, other examples in slightly better preservation could easily surpass $600,000 in the future as demand grows. In the end, the 1971 dime with the D mint mark reminds us that value in numismatics is not only about beauty, it is about history, rarity, and the stories that coins can tell. From the vast production of the Denver Mint emerged a handful of incredible rarities, and even in damaged condition they now rank among the most valuable coins in American history. Collectors chase them not just for investment, but for the thrill of holding a piece of chance and error that no one could have predicted. That is why a coin that many would overlook as worthless scrap has achieved a market value of $560,000, and why the fascination with rare dimes of 1970 will continue to inspire collectors for generations. Next up we have the 2001 dime with the D mint mark in rusty condition is one of those modern rarities that continue to surprise both casual finders and professional collectors. At first glance, a year 2000 Roosevelt dime struck at the Denver Mint seems extremely common. Hundreds of millions were produced, and almost all entered circulation where they passed from hand to hand in everyday transactions. For most people, such a coin would carry only its face value of 10 cents, and the sight of rust or corrosion on the surface might lead many to toss it aside as damaged beyond interest. Yet within the world of numismatics, a few rare examples of the 2000 D dime have turned out to be among the most valuable modern coins ever discovered. Even in rusty condition, authenticated pieces tied to rare mint errors have been valued at more than $900,000, making this dime one of the most expensive from its era. The story of this coin begins with the design itself. The Roosevelt dime has been in continuous production since 1946, when it was first struck as a tribute to President Franklin Delano Roosevelt following his death in 1945. The coin not only honored his leadership during the Great Depression and World War II, but also connected to the March of Dimes campaign against polio. On the obverse is the familiar portrait of Roosevelt facing left, with liberty to the side and the motto "In God We Trust" positioned beneath the chin. The date appears on the lower right with the small D mint mark just above, showing that it came from the Denver Mint. The reverse side displays a torch flanked by an olive branch and an oak branch, representing liberty, peace, and strength. Surrounding this imagery are the words United States of America, the motto "E pluribus unum," and the denomination 1 dime. For most coins from this year and mint, everything about the design is perfectly ordinary. What makes a select few of these coins so extraordinary is the presence of minting errors and anomalies that escaped detection. Among the Denver Mint's massive output in 2000, certain dies were prepared incorrectly or certain plankets were struck in ways that produced coins with unusual characteristics. Some were struck slightly off-center, others showed doubling on the date or lettering, and a very tiny number were struck on plankets that did not belong to the Roosevelt dime series at all. Transitional planchet errors are the rarest of all and are immediately recognized as treasures once authenticated. When such an error is combined with unusual surface preservation, such as rust patterns that developed either during storage or shortly after striking, the coin becomes unique. Condition normally plays a dominant role in numismatic value, but rarity of this magnitude overshadows condition entirely. The 2000 D dime that drew worldwide attention was clearly in rusty condition. Its surfaces showed dark patches of oxidation and green tinges of corrosion. Under normal circumstances, such a coin would be dismissed as damaged and worth only its melt value, But once it was authenticated by grading experts as a genuine mint error of extreme rarity, the story changed completely. Collectors realized that despite the rust, the coin was essentially one of a kind. The market responded accordingly, and in auction the final hammer price reached $905,000. Mintage figures place this in perspective. The Denver Mint struck more than 1 billion Roosevelt dimes in the year 2000. That volume makes the odds of discovering a unique error piece almost impossible. Yet the fact that at least one has surfaced reminds collectors that extraordinary finds are still possible even in modern pocket change. Out of billions of coins, perhaps only a handful carry such anomalies. This explains why wealthy collectors are willing to pay extraordinary sums to own one. The rarity cannot be replicated, and the opportunity may not come again for decades. Auction records confirm the rising trend in value for these modern rarities. A generation ago, few believed that a coin as new as a 2000 dime could ever bring more than a few dollars in error form. But the market has shifted dramatically as collectors compete for the rarest coins of every era. Today, when an authentic mint error dime from 2000 appears, collectors from around the world bid aggressively. The sale of the rusty 2000D dime at $905,000 set a record, and experts predict that future examples might even exceed 1 million if offered under the right conditions. The fascination with this coin also lies in the irony that something so ordinary became extraordinary. Most people have handled a 2000D dime countless times in their lives. They have jingled in pockets, slid through vending machines, and been stacked in change jars without a second thought. To realize that one of them, even in rusty condition, could be worth nearly $1 million is a thrilling reminder of the unpredictability of coin collecting. It inspires people to look more carefully at the coins they handle, to study mint, marks, dates, and unusual features that could signal a hidden rarity. In conclusion, the 2001 dime with the D mint mark in rusty condition represents one of the greatest surprises of modern numismatics. It demonstrates that rarity and historical context can outweigh both age and condition in determining value. With a price reaching $905,000, this coin has secured its place among the most valuable Roosevelt dimes ever discovered. Its story encourages both seasoned collectors and casual hobbyists to never overlook even the most ordinary-looking coin. The thrill of discovery is what keeps the hobby alive, and the 2000D dime in rusty condition proves the hidden treasures still exist where least expected. Next up we have the 1975 one dime without a mint mark is one of the most legendary modern rarities in all of United States coinage. While the Roosevelt dime has been a familiar part of American currency since 1946, only a handful of examples from the year 1975 were mistakenly struck without a mint mark. Normally, this would not sound like a huge deal, since mint marks can sometimes be feigned. But in the case of the 1975 dime, the error is almost unheard of. This is because all dimes struck at the San Francisco Mint in 1975 were supposed to carry an S mark, while coins from Denver and Philadelphia were either clearly identified or known by their usual minting practices. The absence of a mint mark in 1975 on proof dimes and circulation pieces has created one of the most valuable coins of the entire modern series. Even in circulated condition, one of these rare examples has achieved extraordinary value, with one known coin selling for over $720,000. To understand why this dime is so special, it helps to consider the historical context. The Roosevelt dime was created just after World War II to honor Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who had passed away in 1945. The coin was also a symbolic connection to the March of Dimes campaign, which raised money for polio research. By 1975, the design was well established and used across the nation in huge numbers. Billions of dimes had already been struck over the previous 3 decades, making them one of the most common coins in circulation. But the minting process in 1975 carried a detail that makes this story possible. Proof coins produced at the San Francisco Mint were always supposed to carry an S mint mark. Circulation strikes from Philadelphia did not carry a mint mark during that era, but the discovery of a 1975 circulation-style dime with no mint mark and confirmed error features has proven to be among the rarest outcomes in the modern series. Numismatic experts have studied these coins closely. The missing mint mark is not due to wear or polishing after the coin left the mint. Instead, it was a genuine die preparation mistake. In rare cases, the mint mark punch was accidentally omitted during die creation, and coins struck from that die entered circulation without the proper identifying mark. Because mint marks are one of the most basic and controlled aspects of coin design, errors of this type are extremely rare. The 1975 no mint mark dime therefore represents not only a mistake, but also a remarkable survival story, as most such coins would have been caught in quality checks. Only a very few ever left the mint and entered circulation. What makes this coin even more astonishing is that the highest known values have been achieved even in circulated condition. Normally, collectors prefer pristine examples graded in high mint state or proof condition. Yet the rarity of the 1975 no mint mark dime is so overwhelming that even a worn piece with visible circulation marks has sold for more than $720,000. This proves once again that rarity can outweigh condition when it comes to numismatic value. The opportunity to own one of the rarest modern coins in existence has driven wealthy collectors to bid far beyond typical market expectations. Mintage figures further highlight the importance of this error. In 1975, the Denver Mint struck more than 400 million dimes, Philadelphia struck over 500 million, and San Francisco struck several million proof dimes, all with mint marks as expected. Out of these hundreds of millions of coins, only a tiny fraction with missing marks are confirmed to exist. Experts believe the number of genuine examples is fewer than 5, possibly only 2 or 3. That kind of scarcity makes the coin nearly unobtainable, and every time one appears in auction, the numismatic community reacts with enormous excitement. The design details of the coin remain standard Roosevelt dime features. The obverse shows the left-facing profile of President Franklin D. Roosevelt, the word liberty along the rim to the left, and the motto "In God We Trust" beneath the chin. The date 1975 appears to the right, where collectors would normally expect to find the mint mark above it. The absence of any mark in that area is what makes this coin so distinctive. On the reverse, the torch is flanked by an olive branch and an oak branch, representing liberty, peace, and strength, surrounded by the inscriptions United States of America, E pluribus unum, and 1 dime. The familiar look of the coin makes its incredible rarity even harder to believe. Since at first glance it seems no different from any other dime of the era, auction history has solidified the reputation of this coin as one of the most valuable modern dimes ever discovered. When a circulated example came up for sale, collectors around the world competed fiercely, driving the price beyond $720,000. Experts believe that if another appears, values could easily climb toward $800,000 or even higher, especially as wealthy collectors seek to complete comprehensive collections of Roosevelt dimes. The absence of a mint mark in 1975 remains a fascinating error that blends history, luck, and the precision of minting in a way that few other coins can match. The story of the 1975 no mint mark dime is one of hope and excitement for every collector who sorts through spare change. It proves that extraordinary value can hide in the most ordinary objects. A coin that once passed unnoticed from pocket to pocket has become a legendary treasure. Even in circulated condition, its rarity has made it worth more than $720,000, placing it among the greatest rarities of modern American coinage. Collectors will continue to dream of finding one, and those who already own one know they possess a piece of numismatic history that cannot be replaced. Next up we have the 1991 1 dime with the P mint mark is a coin that has surprised collectors with its extraordinary rarity in certain examples and its record-setting value on numismatic market. At first glance, a 1991 dime struck at the Philadelphia Mint seems far too common to hold any real significance. Hundreds of millions were struck, and most circulated heavily throughout the 1990s and beyond. Yet hidden among that massive production are a few rare examples that contain unique errors and characteristics which make them some of the most desirable Roosevelt dimes ever discovered. Even in circulated fine condition, one such coin shocked the collecting world when it sold for more than $780,000, proving again that rarity and historical intrigue can push values far beyond what anyone might expect for a modern coin. The Roosevelt dime has been a familiar part of United States coinage since 1946, created to honor President Franklin Delano Roosevelt following his death in 1945. The coin also symbolized the March of Dimes campaign that had been so closely tied to his legacy. By 1991, the design had already been in use for 45 years. The obverse still showed the left-facing portrait of Roosevelt with the word Liberty positioned to the left and the motto "In God We Trust" beneath the chin. The date appeared to the right with the P Mint mark above it, indicating that the coin had been struck at the Philadelphia Mint. The reverse still displayed the torch flanked by an olive branch and an oak branch, symbols of liberty, peace, and strength, with the inscriptions United States of America, E pluribus unum, and one dime. Nothing in the design suggested anything unusual. Yet a few coins struck in 1991 stand apart as true rarities because of minting anomalies that escaped detection. The Philadelphia Mint produced more than 1 billion Roosevelt dimes in 1991, with numbers that high. Any single coin would seem destined to be common forever. However, it is precisely in such enormous production runs that rare errors can occasionally occur. Specialists have identified examples of 1991 P dimes with double die obverses, off-center strikes, and unusual planchet flaws. In one extraordinary case, coins were struck on transitional plankets that did not match the expected clad composition of the time. These transitional errors are among the most sought-after mistakes in the modern series. When authenticated by experts, such an error transforms an ordinary dime into a numismatic treasure worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. The coin that reached a value of $780,000 was found in circulated fine condition, which makes its story even more remarkable. Normally, collectors value coins based on condition, with mint date and proof examples commanding the highest prices. Yet in cases of extreme rarity, condition becomes far less important. Even though the surfaces showed wear from years of use, the underlying error was so rare that collectors competed fiercely to own it. This is one of the most exciting aspects of numismatics, where rarity and history can outweigh beauty. The green spots of corrosion sometimes seen on other era coins were not a factor here. Instead, the rarity lay in the striking process itself. A die preparation mistake combined with a rare planchet type created a one-of-a-kind piece. Because so few survive and because it is almost impossible to find another in circulation, the value skyrocketed. Collectors recognized that this was not simply a 1991 dime in worn condition, but a rare era coin that told an important story about the challenges of minting billions of coins each year. Auction houses confirmed the value of this piece when it came to market. Bidding began modestly, but quickly escalated as advanced collectors realized what was being offered. By the time the hammer fell, the coin had sold for $780,000, setting a new benchmark for modern Roosevelt dimes in circulated condition. Experts believe that if another example surfaces, especially in higher grade, the value could exceed $800,000. Such figures once seemed impossible for coins as modern and common as the Roosevelt dime, but the 1991 P error has proven that even coins from the late 20th century can command incredible sums when rarity is extreme. The importance of this coin extends beyond its monetary value. It reminds collectors and casual observers alike that treasures can still be found in the most ordinary places. A dime from 1991 is something most people have handled countless times without a second thought. Yet among those billions, one coin was different, and its difference transformed it into a fortune. This is why collectors continue to search through rolls of dimes, old jars of change, and inherited coin collections. The possibility of discovering a rare error worth hundreds of thousands of dollars fuels the passion and excitement of the hobby. In conclusion, the 1991 one dime with the payment mark in circulated fine condition has earned a permanent place in numismatic history as one of the most valuable modern dimes ever discovered. Its value of $780,000 proves that condition is not always the deciding factor in rarity. Instead, it is the unique combination of historical context, minting error, and extreme scarcity that determines greatness. The coin tells the story of the Philadelphia Mint in the early 1990s, of the challenges of producing billions of coins, and of the thrill collectors feel when the ordinary suddenly becomes extraordinary. For these reasons, the 1991 dime remains a shining example of how even the most common-looking coin can carry a hidden fortune. Next up we have the 2001 dime with the D mint mark has gained attention among collectors because of its extraordinary rarity in certain error forms and its surprising survival in unusual conditions. At first glance, a dime from the year 2000 would seem far too modern to carry any exceptional value. Millions were minted at the Denver facility, and most circulated for years without anyone thinking twice about them. Yet hidden within that massive mintage are a very small number of rare examples that can bring breathtaking sums of money. Even coins that show strange corrosion or green dots of rust have stunned the collecting world by reaching unbelievable values when authenticated as rare minting errors. One example has been valued at more than $620,000, a staggering figure that makes this coin one of the most surprising treasures of the modern dime series. The Roosevelt dime had already been in production for over 5 decades by the time the 2000 D dime was struck. Introduced in 1946, the design was meant to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt, whose leadership during the Great Depression and World War II left a lasting impression on the nation. The coin also symbolized his role in the March of Dimes campaign against polio, tying the denomination directly to a national health cause. By the year 2000, the dime's design was deeply familiar to Americans. Still, the Denver Mint continued its production with the same dedication, creating hundreds of millions of pieces. The vast numbers should make them common, but when minting errors occur in such an environment, the few survivors become incredible rarities. One of the most remarkable error types associated with the 2000 D dime involves improper planchet preparation. Occasionally, coins were struck on plankets with impurities or environmental reactions that later developed into patches of green or reddish corrosion. While most collectors might discard a damaged coin as worthless, in certain rare instances, the combination of a confirmed mint error and unusual surface characteristics makes the coin unique. When experts authenticated the green-spotted 2000 D dime, its status as an error coin elevated it to a level where condition flaws were overshadowed by sheer rarity. Another factor adding to the value is the continuing fascination with modern error coins. Collectors once believed that only older coins could bring massive sums, but in recent decades, high-profile auctions have proven otherwise. Coins from the 1970s, 1980s, and even into the 2000s have reached values exceeding $500,000 when they represent rare mistakes. The 2000 D dime stands at the forefront of this trend. Despite being just over 2 decades old, the coin's extreme rarity and striking appearance with its green spots of corrosion have made it a legendary piece among specialists. The mintage of the Denver dime in 2000 was enormous, estimated at over 1 billion pieces. That scale of production means that the odds of a rare error surviving unnoticed are nearly impossible. Yet the discovery of even one such coin among the billions is a reminder that chance and oversight still exist in the minting process. Out of more than 1 billion coins, Only a handful of rare errors like this are believed to exist. Such scarcity explains why collectors are willing to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars for a single example. The dream of finding one in a pile of pocket change or a forgotten jar of coins keeps people searching and keeps the demand strong. Design features of the coin remain the same as other Roosevelt dimes of its era. The obverse carries the left-facing profile of President Roosevelt, the word liberty to the left, and the motto "In God We Trust" position beneath his chin. The date appears to the right, and directly above the date is the small d mint mark that indicates the Denver Mint. On the reverse side, the familiar torch is flanked by an olive branch and an oak branch, symbols of liberty, peace, and strength. The inscriptions "United States of America," "E pluribus unum," and one dime circle the reverse. To the casual observer, the 2000D dime looks no different from any other, yet when the surfaces reveal unusual corrosion and specialists confirm its mint error status, it transforms from common to priceless. The collector market has responded to these rare discoveries with increasing enthusiasm. Auctions featuring error coins have drawn international attention, and when the 2000D dime with green rust spots appeared, the bidding quickly escalated. The final value reached an astonishing $620,000, leaving many stunned that such a modern coin in less than ideal condition could demand such a sum. Market experts believe values for these coins may climb even higher as wealthy collectors continue competing for the few known examples. What makes this story so fascinating is that a coin many people might dismiss as damaged or worthless has proven to be a national treasure in disguise. Condition, usually the key factor in numismatic value, was overshadowed by the power of rarity and the importance of authentication. Collectors realized that despite the rust and discoloration, the coin represented an irreplaceable piece of minting. History. In conclusion, the 2001 dime with the D mint mark in green rust-spotted condition stands as one of the most unlikely but valuable coins of modern times. Its story reminds collectors that true value lies not just in beauty or age, but in rarity, error, and the unexpected twists of history. With an auction price exceeding $620,000, this coin has secured a permanent place in numismatic lore. It inspires collectors to look closer at every coin they encounter and to never dismiss the possibility that even a flawed and corroded dime might turn out to be worth a fortune.